Hey everybody, and welcome to a very exciting no damage run in the Binding of Isaac. We are going to take Judas here, and this little guy is going to go all the way through Isaac without taking any damage. Now, while this run is incredibly exciting, it's also incredibly disappointing because getting through Isaac means that we failed to get through Blue Baby. But, you know, we'll get to that disappointment as it comes. So, and I haven't put up a no damage run in a little while. I actually have recorded a bunch of them. I've just been negligent in recording some audio over them and getting them up on YouTube. But they should be coming along shortly, including a bunch of mom wins, which seem less exciting, but I'm trying to get them out of the way, and maybe some mom's heart stuff, along with a couple of Isaac victories, maybe some Satan things. Who knows? So anyway, we're going to check out our first item room here. Homing bombs, not the greatest first item room pickup, but as usual, the most important thing is the first deal with the devil. So, I used to kind of like restart over and over again until I got a good first item room, some kind of damage upgrade or speed upgrade or something. And that fell by the wayside long, long ago because it just didn't seem worth it to wait for the first item room being good when really it was the first good Satan deal with the devil that seemed to make or break the success of the no damage run. So pretty standard first four, nice and small. Homing bombs will allow us to pick up a bunch of stuff. Now here's an interesting question. Judas is gonna need a spirit heart to be able to take a deal with the devil. With a spirit heart, we can take one or two deals with the devil. That health up goes a long way towards helping that. But when you're on the first floor, if you're trying this challenge, it's tricky to, and you get a spirit heart. Getting a spirit heart is really the only way to be able to walk into the curse room. It's tricky to know whether you should walk into the curse room or save that spirit heart for a deal with the devil. I think in general it's more prudent to save it, probably. Always go into curse rooms. I mean, I'm allowing the damage from curse rooms in this challenge. Nobody's questioned it. Honestly, I think it's a little dicey. I think it would be interesting to try this challenge without taking any damage, and that means not allowed to walk into curse rooms, not allowed to use blood banks or demon judgments, anything like that. The only question would be whether you'd be allowed to take a deal with the devil. And if you're not allowed to take a deal with the devil, I think you're in real trouble for doing a successful no damage run. I mean, you could get it through mom. And I think any run that you can get through mom, you can probably get through mom's heart. Certainly if you pick up a sweet item, like if you pick up mom's knife on the last floor, if you pick up mom's knife in like the depths 2 item room, then of course you can get through mom's heart without taking damage. But without those deals with the devil, it's going to be incredibly hard to get that without getting lucky, or without getting super lucky. You still need a certain amount of luck to do these no damage runs well. So anyway, trucking along, Cellar 2, nothing too exciting so far. So picking up, getting the health upgrades makes it, this is super important, if only because it allows us to take these deals with the devil, as with all these no damage runs. Stem cells does convey a little bit of a shot speed upgrade, which I'm not wild about, but it's not too big. It's not that big of a deal. And because we have the spirit heart, with 3 heart containers and a spirit heart, that was close, you can pick up any 2 deals with the devil, right? In fact, you can do it with 2 heart containers and 1 spirit heart. Because if there's 2 heart deals with the devil, you can trade your 2 heart containers for one of them, be left with a spirit heart, and then trade that last spirit heart for the remaining deal with the devil and go down to -2 heart containers, which honestly is not a big deal in this run. It would just mean that every time you walk into a deal with the devil room, you're going to want to have picked up 1 more spirit heart so you can take it. Again, this 4 is a little big. No huge surprises so far. Lucky Toe plus the arcade is not bad. I find it very hard to... I don't know what I do on this run, honestly. I kind of forget. I played it so long ago. It looks like I'm not taking advantage of the arcade completely, which is a huge mistake. But that, I've said this on other videos. I find it really difficult to min-max on any of these runs because I'm spamming the restart so often, you're going to get hit a lot. So, it's pretty demoralizing to spend like 5 minutes on the Cellar 2 trying to get a blood bag or something really sweet, only to walk into the Catacombs Part 1 and take a hit on the first room. So I oftentimes leave them behind. It's possible I'll go back and do it right now. I'm definitely going to go to the shop with a key and 26 cents. We're hoping for the map. We did not. We got the Greedy, which I hope I don't pick up because I hate Greedy. And I hope past self also hated Greedy. It looks like he did, shunning him. I think in this run, my only real problem with Greedy is I don't want him dropping a pill or a tarot card or something that makes me Zelda an item over my head when there could be a bomb simultaneously being spawned by having completed a room, if that makes sense. It may sound like a pretty unlikely situation, but if you've played a lot of Isaac, as I'm sure a bunch of you have, I'll bet it has happened to you at some point or another. While it is uncommon, it's one of those incidents that happens all the time. So this is a pretty standard deal with the Devil Room. I mean, it's good to get flying, but the Pact gives us a couple of big upgrades. Obviously, a little bit of damage, some tears, and I think a little bit of speed maybe. And Guppy's Head brings us closer to Guppy. Guppy, becoming Guppy is, as I've said in these other videos, very important to getting really far, having enough damage to get really far in one of these no damage runs. So it looks like now, having lost my heart containers and the chance to really milk that blood bank, I'm going to come down here and do something. I don't really know what I'm thinking about. Generally, I want to leave a spirit heart and a half in case there's a curse room on the next floor. I want to be able to walk into it and leave half a spirit heart. It looks like I split the difference and left a useless whole spirit heart. I mean, does that make sense to everybody out there? Because you don't need a whole spirit heart to take a deal with the devil. You just need half a spirit heart. So there's really no point in not playing that blood bank one more time. The only consideration with spirit hearts, and this is a finicky point for sure, but it has made, or it has broken a couple of runs rather, is on a no damage run when you're going to be going down to negative heart containers in almost every first deal with the devil, especially with a character like Judas. If there are spirit hearts lying around the floor, you generally want to leave them there before you go into the deal with the devil, because once you have 0 or negative heart containers, you're going to want a couple of spirit hearts, or at least a spirit heart to pick up, so that you can do something like play a blood bank or go into a curse room or whatever. But very occasionally, an important item like a mom's knife, a brimstone, the pack, the mark, spirit of the night, something like that, will cost 3 spirit hearts. So my general rule of thumb is if you have the ability to get up to 3 spirit hearts, even if it means you're going to waste them all on a deal with the on a heart container deal with the devil, pick them up when you walk in, just in case. I've been in a situation where on a very good run, for instance, I could have become Guppy if I had picked up the spirit heart that was just dropped in the boss room right outside the door, and I failed to do it, and as a result, I couldn't, pick up like Guppy's Paw or whatever it was that cost 3 spirit hearts without dying, which obviously was a goddamn tragedy. So the moral of the story is absolutely pick it up. So we should talk about how we're doing in this run so far. I mean, it's pretty standard. We have some decent damage. Judas starts with decent damage, obviously. Getting the pact was big, but not uncommon. And Guppy's Head brings us a little closer. So, what do we want from this deal? If we get a deal with the devil, what do we want from it? We want flying, we want Guppy items, we want more damage. So, 2 Guppy items would be useful, except we would not be able to pick up 2 Guppy items because we only have 1 Spirit Heart. And unless we have 9 lives in there, which would be pretty useful. You pick up 9 lives, then you can pick up another item. Instead, we have Spirit of the Night. Pretty useful. Getting flying is important. Obviously, we would get flying if we had become Guppy. Can't rely on that, of course. But as I've said many times, you're trying to survive in these runs room to room. You never know what the next room is going to give you. So, picking up Spirit of the Night on the caves is pretty important. So feeling fairly good about this run so far. I mean, I know what happens, and I think these are the title of the video. You probably all know what happens too. But as I'm watching myself run this back, it feels pretty good. The 9-volt is a great pickup, especially if we can get our favorite item in these no damage runs, which is the Book of Shadows. And that, from my experience, is the optimal combination. Something like you fly, either with Spirit of the Night or even better with Guppy. You have the mulligan with Guppy. You have some pretty serious damage from something like Mom's Knife or Brimstone. I mean, obviously, we could run through the best case scenario. You have Polyphemus, and you have Mom's Knife, and you have Flying, and you have Guppy. But, 2 health up bills. This could get us back to 0? We might be at 0 now. Oh, wow. Huh. No wonder I was able to get so far. Okay. So we're going to pick up Mom's Knife. All right, now this one gets pretty serious. I swear I wasn't even thinking about this. I do not remember how this had gone down. So, now we've gone a long way towards getting that little situation I just described here. We have Flying. We have Guppy's Head, which these flies, even though there's only a couple of them per room, because they do double damage to whatever your base damage is at the time, and we have such high base damage from Mom's Knife, they're going to do quite a bit for us. So, definitely don't turn your nose up at just having Guppy's Head. But going back to what the optimal item situation looks like, it's definitely picking up the Book of Shadows along with all of these passives that we're describing. The Book of Shadows and the 9-volt, giving us that defensive item that we need to survive something like the Isaac fight or the Blue Baby fight. So entering the Catacombs Part 2, this is we are unusually ridiculously powerful for the Catacombs Part 2, even in a no damage run. As I'm watching this, I'm feeling pretty confident. I feel like we're not going to get hit. Rooms like this, not as big of a problem. The real problem rooms in any of these runs, if you have enough damage. See, this is a problem room. That was a nice shot, because that guy in the end can definitely spam a random shot out, or maybe it's not random, but it's a shot that I always get hit on. You're going to want to avoid rooms like that. You're going to want to avoid rooms that have the bullet flies. 6 bullet. I think that room appears on the womb and utero floors. 6 bullet flies, and you have the Guppy flies that are about to pop out and go kill the bullet flies, which will end up shooting bullets everywhere, and you got to avoid them. So even with orbitals, obviously if you have a safety item, you can use it, but on a lot of times when you play the womb, you're going to run into like 3, 4, 5, or 6 of those rooms that have bullet flies in them, and you can't, if you have a Book of Shadows, even if you have 9-volt, you can't expect to be able to use it every time you walk into one of those rooms. So you kind of have to know how to deal with it, and I think an important part of dealing with these rooms when you're using either Guppy's Head or you have the mulligan and you have a bunch of flies that are about to go out and kill enemies for you when you're trying to take no damage, is not jumping in and committing immediately. Here we go. So to round out our perfect scenario here, we now have Book of Shadows 9-volt. So let's review what we got. Book of Shadows, 9-volt, Mom's Knife, the Pact, a couple of leftover flies from Guppy's Head, plus one item towards becoming Guppy, I suppose. A speed upgrade, a ton of health upgrades, which have at least given us, put us in the position so that we can take another deal with the devil in the future if we want. Spirit of the Night, so that we can fly. I mean, I'd say we're basically set. We're definitely set to go through Mom. We're definitely set to go through Mom's heart. Probably set to beat Satan, although I find the Satan fight very tricky regardless of my item setup. And if you've watched any of my other no damage runs, well, I guess I haven't put up any like Satan failures. I have plenty of runs that took no damage up to Satan and then crashed on the Satan fight because I'm complete garbage at it. But the Satan fight, because it has the 3 forms, you can't expect to use a Book of Shadows and get through the entire thing, no matter how powerful you are. You're gonna have to beat one of those forms without it. And the third form, having the bomb flies, is a big problem if you're powerful because you have the mulligan or your guppy, because your flies will go attack those bomb flies while the feet are stomping down on you. And if you're not powerful enough to kill them in 1 or 2 or 3 hits, I've gotten hit on those last on the last form a number of times. The second form is a complete nightmare, especially if you're not that fast. I think if you're powerful enough, that is to say, if you have Mom's Knife, Polyphemus, and like one other damage upgrade, you can basically kill Satan's second form in 1 hit. Don't quote me on that. It's something, it's either 1 hit or it's 2 hits. But because of those 3 forms, it becomes tricky to, well, there is no safety item that will allow you to do the entire thing. Whereas, even in the Blue Baby fight, if you are powerful enough, if you can get lucky enough and get enough damage upgrades, and you have the Book of Shadows, or you have Mom's Bra, or presumably even if you just have Mom's Pad, I'm not sure if Isaac and Blue Baby shoot shots while you use Mom's Pad. I'm not sure I've ever brought it all the way to that fight, so whatever. But you get the point. If you use one of those items and you are powerful enough, you can kill both of them before they wake back up. I mean, we've all Isaac runners that have run the game for long enough have had runs like that where you're just so powerful that Isaac and Blue Baby go down in basically 1 or 2 hits. And when it comes to doing a challenge like this, namely where you're trying to not get hit throughout the entire game, if you're able to get that powerful, the difficulty, of course, does not lie in beating those last fights. The difficulty lies in just getting there. So, for instance, this is a room that easily could have taken me down. I mean, I think I should have played it better right off the bat. I think if I had gone kind of like down and to the left right off the bat, it wouldn't have been so bad. But because I didn't, it looked pretty treacherous. This is another room that if you don't have flying is a complete nightmare, no matter how good your damage is. And I think as I'm watching this, I'm seeing in real time one of my biggest flaws as a runner of this challenge. And I say a runner of this challenge, full well knowing that I'm the only person I've ever watched that is trying to do this. Although I hope there are other runners out there, at least casually, that try to get as far as they can in the game without taking damage. But not getting off topic, the problem that I am watching is that I'm not using the Book of Shadows enough. And walking into a bunch of these rooms, okay, obviously not this room, that I'm thinking to myself, I assume you're going to pop it. Now, this room, probably not, although it could definitely get hit by one of these stray shots. But because we have the 9-volt, and it only takes 1 more room after every time we use it to fully recharge the Book of Shadows, I think it is worth it to pop the Book of Shadows more often. And obviously, when you run a challenge like this over and over again, the reason you don't do it is because of all the runs that you used the Book of Shadows just before you got to the room that ended up killing you, and you really wished that you had saved it. But on the other hand, I think optimally you are just focusing on getting to the next room. Take it room by room, and eventually you're going to get to the very end of the game, which we don't quite do. But this is an exciting run. We're getting very close. So we're at the Depths 2. Been to the Depths 2 a number of times without taking any damage. Pretty exciting, pretty cool. This is a tricky room that may have warranted Book of Shadows use, but killing that first guy right off the bat might have subdued the room enough that I didn't think it was a big deal. Yeah, okay. Well, if you can move swiftly enough to do this room, to take out like the first 2 guys I took out in this room, then I guess it's no big deal. although it seemed pretty treacherous to me. Emperor card is huge. It's a great pickup, especially with this this setup, because this setup, I think at this point we're probably strong enough that we can kill Isaac and Blue Baby in one Book of Shadows round, and if not one round, we can definitely get them to the third phase, which at least gives you a pretty good chance of doing it. Getting the map, big pickup. Emperor card in the map, right, just in the same room. I mean, in the same vein, those two items really just take out a bunch of rooms that you would have had to fight, otherwise would have had to fight. One of which could have been the room that ended your run. So we're gonna fight some greed. Greed kills me all the time, and by kills I mean, shoots a shot right in my face. I'd be interested to hear what other people think about the enemies that have it's like the enemies that have shot speed, that shoot with shot speed upgrades. I find them horrendously difficult when it comes to trying to avoid damage. I would say I take damage on Greed almost as much as I take damage on Krampus, which is probably my arch nemesis in the game for kind of like, no, I was going to say a standard room, a fairly standard room for not taking damage. I know Krampus is, obviously you're not going to meet him on every run or anything, but he's not nearly as hard as Isaac or Blue Baby, who also seem to have shot speed, like a pretty high shot speed to their shots. But there's something about Greed's shots that it's really just a total nightmare to me. And I do find myself taking damage on it much more often. So, running through the depths 2 here, no big deal. I mean, could not be a more of a gimme room. This is very difficult, and yes, so this is a good example of a room. I think no matter how powerful I am or what my setup is, if I have those leapers, 5 or 6 of those leapers, however many there were, in that room, I think I've gotten hit on that setup so many times with every possible setup that you can have. The moment I walk in, I just pop the Book of Shadows. It's not even worth it to try. And, all you gotta do is run into that next room, finish it out, and you've got the Book of Shadows charged back up. Blood Bag, big pickup. I don't think we were too slow so far, but it's always, well, it's not always nice to have a little extra speed, but it's often nice to have a little extra speed. So same situation, exact same room, and because we had charged the book, we were able to take care of it. Although it's also a pretty good example of the fact that if I hadn't gone left after I had done the first Leaper room, and I'd instead come down here, I would have ran into the second Leaper room, and, even though it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, as to which room I should do, it's still, it's very nice to have that book charged for the second room. So, okay, garbage item room, no big deal. Our last item room, there's not much that we're expecting to get from that item room unless it's a damage upgrade. Could be like a speed upgrade might help us. So this mom shouldn't be too bad. Although our damage isn't off the charts or anything. Now the mom fight. So for a guy who's played as many hundreds of hours of this game as I have, and who does these no damage runs, it's a pretty embarrassing confession to say. I've heard that there's a way to do the mom fight. There's kind of like a cheap way to do the mom fight. Although I've never done it, and I guess I've never watched a video of somebody do it. This is kind of an interesting situation. We are on the Womb XL, Big 4, Scary 4, and we have the Emperor card. I think I'm thinking right now about whether I should pop the Emperor card right away. And just deal with the bosses, which should be a lot easier than the rest of the 4. I think I was seriously considering, I might still be considering it, but just want to charge the book up once in case the boss is a real nightmare. So again, the rest of this room is, garbage. These guys should go down immediately. I'm kind of interested to see if I do this or not. Okay, so top left of the screen, you got those 2 rooms in succession. To me, it kind of looks like those could be the boss rooms. Maybe I'm thinking about trying to get there, because optimally you want to save the Emperor card as long as possible. And by as long as possible, I mean I would definitely definitely use it on the Cathedral. I would not wait to till the chest, unless I can't even imagine a situation where I wouldn't use it on the Cathedral. But if you do save it, if you are okay, that's so embarrassing. So wasted the Book of Shadows and used the Emperor card, because I was about to say, oh wow, that was tight. If if you're quick enough about it, you can just use the Emperor card if you're in a jam, right? But otherwise, get through the 4. But I think oftentimes I've forgotten to use the Emperor card at one point or another, and so the whole idea of quote unquote saving it ends up getting you killed. And the moment I saw that I was in trouble in that room, I just started spamming both buttons. But no big deal. No big deal. Just going to walk out into this terrifying, bullet fly room to charge it back up. This is not the worst example. That is not the worst example of the bullet flies, or whatever you call them. The ones that are the worst are the ones that are spread out on all corners of the room. So, Mom's Heart, we're going to skip the cube of meat, because I think the meat boy is too dangerous in a no damage attempt. Any familiar that you can't really control, like Blue Baby's Soul, or whoever it is that, like, whatever familiar is opposite you, Abel. I have a hard time kind of like realizing where he is. Or Meat Boy. I think those are very risky for doing no damage runs, because who knows where they are, who knows where they're going to bump into you. Okay, so we beat Mom's Heart. This is me pausing in case I get hit on the next room. I wanted to be able to use this as a Mom's Heart victory. In case I wanted to say, well, thanks everybody. This has been great. I probably got hit after this, so see you later. But instead, I am recording past that, which means I must not have gotten hit. I pray remember this correctly and actually didn't get hit. But so we no longer have the Emperor card. It would be pretty useful to have, because the Cathedral can be a very scary 4. But no big deal. We do have the Book of Shadows. We do have the 9-volt. And, I mean, everything's going pretty well so far. Can't really complain. Angel Fetuses aren't too big of a deal. Hoping that boss room is on the left. And, again, I really don't... Again, I don't remember, but I don't think our damage is good enough to beat Isaac in one Book of Shadows go, although that Steven may have made the difference. I don't know. Alright, so this is our mob trap room. This is not our boss room, unfortunately. The Widow and... Not the Widow. Whatever it is. Maybe it is the Widow. Those giant spiders go down in one hit. That's a pretty good sign. If the boss room is not on the bottom right, I will be sad, because that means we'll have to go through a bunch, more rooms. But this is a terrifying room. This is a good example of a room where I probably used the Book of Shadows like a moment too late. There was a moment where I almost got hit there, and really, I think you should be able to walk in, or I should be able to walk in, see the layout of the room, and just say that's it. Forget about it. So I think if this opens, it means it's not the boss. Maybe I'm thinking about that. I think if it opens, it means it's not I think you can't bomb your way into the boss room, although I probably check, because future me isn't sure, past me must be just completely baffled right now. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, Okay, well, double Loki, not a big deal. I say not a big deal, although of course you can get hit on this room. Embarrassingly, tragically, however you want to describe it. This is a situation that I have found myself in before. Very close to the end, very close to getting through the Isaac fight. But any one of these rooms can just, bust up your run. So don't want to sacrifice the perfect situation. Telepills. Good safety item, I guess. You know, there's a couple of rooms that could teleport us to that we haven't fought yet, but it's likely going to teleport you to a room that you've already been through. So if you're in a sticky situation, it's a good escape item. It might even be good for in the Isaac fight if you could like see a shot coming towards you and you thought that was it, and you were already this is the worst room. Oh, double greed. Oh, gotta use that Book of Shadows. Oh my God, teleport into the boss room. I'm the luckiest genius around. All right, so Book of Shadows. It's possible I should have like run in just to make sure I could get it fast enough. To me, I think this is the best way to hit him. Maybe there's a way to get more damage on him, but oh my God, he's so close. And boom. This is exciting. This is amazing. Turn around. Oh yeah, dance around. Okay, so that's it. We did it. And we got up to the chest, and I'm going to stop the video here because it doesn't go well after this.